Hey, welcome to the first ever Central Valley Film Podcast. I'm the main host, Jacob True. I'm a director of one of the 3 short films we will be producing, as well as the head producer. Today we have our 2 other directors on board. Why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves?
I'm Marciano Zapian.
Hey, I'm Roman Acosta.
All right, perfect. We just decided to throw up a quick podcast just to keep you guys in the loop, to keep ourselves active. It's kind of hard to continue with filmmaking with the current circumstances with the quarantine and all, but we don't want to stop creating. So we figured this is a good compromise, so we could just keep talking about film, talking about ourselves, and everything that we're kind of doing with the community and stuff. So today we've decided we're going to be doing a Q&A. We've asked you guys a couple days ago prior to recording, about a week ago once we released the podcast, for some questions that you have for us, and we're going to be going over those today. So for the first question I have for you guys, it comes from Thumbity Thumb Thumb. He asks, how's it going? How's it going, guys?
Oh, it's going good as it could be.
I'm fine. I'm doing great. You know, as the best I can be doing, you know.
Yeah, I know. It's been rough with everything. How have you guys been keeping yourselves busy?
Just the normal apocalyptic stuff, just robbing, stealing. No, I just been a lot of reading, a lot of study, a lot of writing. Yeah, just been a fun time watching movies. And now you have a valid excuse to just stay home, watch movies, and study up. So that's what I've been doing.
There you go. I've kind of been doing the same. I think I've watched, it's not a lot, but I think I've watched like about 9 or 10 films since the first day of quarantine. So just building up my palettes of films, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I've also been watching a lot of films. Can't say it's good films. But I've been watching a lot of strange movies, just digging into the crevices. Like, what's the weirdest one I'd seen recently? Like Shaggy DA is one. Very fun. Yeah, that was... I have to say, we've come a long way after watching that, where they would just loop footage of a dog over and over again to make it look like he's talking, but then it's just like this of the dog, and you're like, oh, is that supposed to be him talking? You know, where it's just like this weird switch. But that's what I've been watching, you know. So
sounds very educational.
Yeah.
Very educational. I have to say, I've learned a lot. I'm a better filmmaker for watching it. All right, and then moving forward then with the next question from Emily Mendez, 59. What made you guys start the program of CVFP? I'll go over kind of like what my kind of headspace was. Now I'm going to just kind of go around with you guys and just kind of see why you guys joined.
Yeah.
I guess you could say. So for the Central Valley Film Project, I knew I wanted a career in filmmaking. I'd been doing film for about 4 years, roughly, to where I felt like it was ready to progress. I was ready for the next step. And I just didn't find any clear outlets locally for that. And I decided I was going to take matters into my own hands and produce a short film on a budget of roughly $1,500. I had talked to Roman about it. I was giving him kind of the pitch of my general idea of what I wanted to do. And just in the middle of it, he cuts me off and goes, screw it, man. I'll join you. What do I have to do?
No. I think I said, let me interrupt real quick. I think there was a short pause. We were at In-N-Out.
Yeah.
Right? We were at In-N-Out one night, and there was a short pause. And I said, if I give you $300, can I get a role on this project? And you're like, yeah.
Yeah, like this guy, like I was not that well established. Like at this point, I won the first annual 48-hour contest locally. I got the Audience Choice Award, and I'd won a couple of awards at the Merced Community College. But by no means was I in a position where people would be paying me to get on set. And Roman just came up really enthusiastically. He's like, hey, man, like I'll join up. So I figured, I was like, maybe there's more of this than I thought. So in the next couple of days, I'd asked Marcy his interest. And I just asked a couple more of some close crew members of mine. And everyone was interested. So we got my budget in the span of a few days when I was concerned about getting it at all. And that's just kind of how it began. I knew there was a hunger, and I figured this was a good way to centralize it and kind of get people proactive in thinking about like, how can I add to the community? What can I do? Because of the fact that we're on basically a zero budget. Obviously, I said $1,500, but just setting up this podcast and the page and everything, it's been, you know, like dollars and pennies, you know, as compared to what you would usually see on a film set. So I just really wanted to set up like a role model for what people could do. What about you, Marciano? What made you join?
Well, an opportunity like this presents itself, especially for up and comers like us, we jump on it. I mean, you have like-minded individuals around you with, I wouldn't say nothing else better to do, but ultimately there was no formal outlet, and this was the one opportunity to really get involved in something in our field. So I thought, well, I've been doing nothing but sitting, writing, and waiting for a chance to be on a film set, or even, hey, throw my suggestion out there, and the opportunity presented itself. So I jumped on. I wanted to get my voice out there and join up with a bunch of like-minded individuals and see what kind of work we can get done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I think that's a big thing that we need to push, is like the idea of community, because a lot of filmmakers locally, they're very much like one-man bands, from what I understand. Usually when I talk to someone, I'm like, oh, what kind of crew are you rolling with? It's like, oh, just like a couple of buddies, you know, where like they act and I do everything. And there's definitely nothing wrong with that, especially when you're getting your feet wet and just learning. But like, in order to like help elevate ourselves and everything, it's really good to network and communicate. That's been the most valuable asset, at least for me as a filmmaker, is being able to communicate with people and garner, you know, a following, so to speak, and being able to like almost have your pick of the litter because you've gone out of your way to find other filmmakers and other people who are, you know, pursuing the field. What about you, Roman? I know you were the first one, you know, to be like, I want in on this. What made you like so enthusiastic about it?
I think it was just seeing what you put out there, man. Like, just I was a huge fan of, you know, the 48-hour film that you won the first year, and then Roses Are Red, right? I really love that project. So yeah, I think it was just once they saw your projects come together and like how like good you were, I just want to like team up with you for once and see like, okay, what can I do if he's with me, you know, or like what can I add to his to your like set of skills, you know, like with whatever you needed. And so I just thought it was a good opportunity, and I didn't really think I was gonna be that excited about it, you know, when we first came up with it.
Yeah, man.
And I think the like, sorry to step in, but I think the pioneering spirit is really what kind of sold me too, was just the fact that you were, oh, I'm just gonna do it. So that's a rarity nowadays. I mean, like, I don't know, just jump on board and let's go. There was always contingencies around, oh, let's make a film. Oh, but like, let's work with schedules. We just sat down and carved it out. So, and that's something I've been most proud about. So just want to throw that out there.
Honestly, yeah, like that is something I could pride myself on, is my like ability to just say, let's just go forward and do it, because I've waited for so long. And it's almost paradoxical nowadays, because you have so many resources at your hands, like as filmmakers, to where honestly, you can do a lot. And people just are afraid to, because of the fact that there's such high expectations. When you watch a movie, it's like, oh man, like that's a movie, you know, but like you don't get there until you start swing for the fences. And I think that's just something that a lot of this group here can do, because and one of the big reasons I brought Roman on initially was because I knew he had like creative visions, but like technically he had just begun. Like, how long have you been doing film now?
Kind of want to say around, I mean, I've always had the interest of making my films, but like making my own films, but I really got into the real process starting like October 2018. I think I've come a long way since then.
Exactly. Like, so like roughly like year and a half, 2 years, something like that. And I could see like he had a creative vision, but like the technical skill, you know, wasn't quite there yet. And I was like, what if I could just give him that technical skill? I want to see what he can do. And just like, if you were to look at his two films, from the first 48 hour to the second 48 hour, day and night, you know, he's really, you know, acted in the way that I've said, where it's just, he's networked with people to where he's gotten better crew members. He's really pushed himself, and you can really see that difference between the two. And similarly with Marciano, whenever, dude, I read your scripts, mind blowing. Like every time, like he can write like no other. Like this man, like he clearly has a vision and he has a story. And I knew this was like an outlet for him, you know, because he's usually been relegated to actor. He's acted in 2 of my films, Roses Are Red, as Roman had mentioned before, in the most recent 48-hour film, A Glass Heart. He's the main star in both. And he's an amazing actor, but he is definitely an amazing creative overall, you know. And
thank you.
Of course. Like, I just knew this was the team we needed, like, for this time. So that's the long answer, I guess you could say, for how we came across the Central Valley Film Project and just kind of its origination. Going on to the next question, unless you have something to add.
No, I just want to say thanks, Emily, for the question. That's my cousin right there.
Oh, yeah, of course. Thank you guys for the questions.
Thank you.
If you guys want to see this again, just feel free to DM us or something like that, just to gauge interest. We're just going to see where this goes. It's probably not going to get a lot of viewership, but for the few of you that are out there listening to this, we want to make sure we're giving you guys the content you're looking for. Moving on to from Zellenbarger, if you're still watching. If given the chance, would you extend the film project to be an annual thing? I'm going to push that to you guys first and see what you guys would think. Would you guys want this to be an annual thing if we were given the opportunity?
Well, I'm going to even further push it to Wayward Boy over here you're going down south, obviously.
Yeah, that's the problem. I'm gonna be moving down to LA, going to school down there. Where as of now, I've gotten accepted to CSU Fullerton. I'm still waiting on one other dream school, that's UCLA. So once I hear back from them, my decision will be made very shortly after that. But honestly, if I could find a way to come back up here for like a summer, or during the time in the summer, like if we can make the time to shoot and everything, I'd be so down to make this every year.
Mm-hmm. Would you even be willing to, like, let's say that you could even shoot down in LA and then we just premiere it in the Central Valley and just say, oh, this is like our own talent, and stuff. And then once we do the documentary section, now you get to kind of show what the entry into Los Angeles is. Like, that'd be really valuable.
I'm definitely down. I was thinking about it because I don't want this to be a one-time thing,
Mm-hmm.
I definitely want to try to keep it going.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Marcy?
Oh, I would love to see it keep going. Just to see it going now is a dream come true.
Especially for the community.
Especially for the community. I mean, there's access to resources here that, like, even we've heard a Hollywood exec should. Yeah, are we able to mention?
Probably. They're already in production.
Yeah. All right. Well,
we're not gonna name the league here, but
we've had a Hollywood executive come up and say openly how vast the resources are up here, and to bring together these people who have like minds and have an interest in film. I mean, to cultivate that every year, and as opposed to just right now, we're already seeing an awesome turnout right now. I mean, with time, it's only going to snowball. So that would be really cool to see it every year.
I think this place is growing. Modesto and the Central Valley here is a growing community, and I think people would want to see it continue every single year with the talent that's around here and the kind of people that are here who they're just hungry. They want to make something. They want to express themselves, through, and this is the way we can do it. We can let it happen this way.
Definitely. I agree with all that. I know I want the project to keep going after this. The question for me more is if I would want to remain like a part of the project, because like I said, this is really built to kind of uplift the community and kind of show people there's another way and give people that outlet. So I'd always debated, like, would I just pass this to someone else that I would like trust it with, and then just kind of watch it, like, kind of make its cycles every year with like new filmmakers and new producers and stuff like that. I think that would be the Central Valley Film Project in its ultimate form. Just like whoever those like hot new players are get to hop in, collaborate together, and create like a new film. Because I know, at least with my personal career goals, that it won't always work in this sort of a format, to where I may want to move like a little quicker, or I may want to like go outside of short film length, or just do something a little bit more outside my comfort zone. So I know for me personally, I want to see the project keep going, and I would want to see more people come into it and kind of take advantage of the path we blaze for them, hopefully.
Yeah.
That's just where I'm at right now. And kind of bouncing off what you were saying, even then, like maybe a larger producer would be able to catch ahead of it, because people don't know, but people look at Modesto. Honestly, they will come through and they'll look around, and the problem is we haven't built them a landing pad yet. They'll fly over, but they can't land. Just as Marciano previously said, there's an LA producer living here now who said like, oh, I didn't know any of this was here. This place was just like, farms as far as I was
Cowtown.
yeah. We even had some students recently film with us from Columbia College, and they were joking like, "Oh my gosh, like this is just like orchards and stuff. Like, isn't this crazy?"
You guys are in the wrong part.
Yeah.
But on the same ticket, like it's this weird, despite it being the valley, it's this weird amalgamation of both rural and urban, but also like very Motown and washout. You can see like towns on the upscale and then towns on the decay. So you have this weird mix of and variety of settings. So, and a lot of these places, they're open. They offer you open arms if you really want to film here. Like they're
Honestly,
on their guard for people like
Yeah.
us.
Like kind of going back to the students that came down to film here, they were talking about how in LA they will like hunt you down like if you whip out a camera. They'll be like, "Where's your permit? What are you doing here?" Like whereas here, like people go like, "Hey, what are you doing here? Like, what's up? Look, come here. Like, do you want food?" Like during the 48 hour, the first one when I was filming Tipping Point, we just knew someone who was a manager at a restaurant, and they got so excited when we came in, like on short notice too, that they blocked off a section of the restaurant for us to film in. Like you don't get that treatment
That's insane.
in LA. Like
What did they say the rate was in LA? It's like 4,000 per hour.
something like that, because you have to have like an officer on set and all that. And granted, you have to have it here, but it's significantly cheaper. Significantly. I encourage any filmmakers who are here locally to look into that. It is almost hilarious how much you can do here with a very small budget. Like I've always just wanted to like take advantage of that, even if the production doesn't necessarily call for it. Just so I can be like, "Hey, check this out."
Hey, well, it wouldn't be a bad idea if you have $500,000 and you want to film in Modesto, you know?
Honestly, if you're listening
get
to
your feet
this.
wet.
All you have to do is just ask. That's the thing that's great about it that we've come to find is just ask for something and you shall receive.
Ask and ye shall receive. That's been the motto. Even the audition locations that we had acquired prior to having to close them because of the virus, we had attained for free in an official office space just by coming in and asking. And I was expecting like maybe a few hours or something like that. They're like, "Oh, how long you want it?" And I was just testing how far we could push it. And I was like, 3 days from 9 to 5. And they're like, "Done." I was
Okay.
like, "Okay."
All right.
Boom.
Boom. Yeah. It was almost at the same time.
Almost. So honestly, I encourage any filmmakers out there to just ask. It really goes a long way. That's the long and short of it. So to really condense the question, if we could make it an annual thing, of course, but we do want to see it evolve outside of just our control. This isn't our project. This is your guys' project. That's the key factor we want to emphasize as the project continues to roll along and gain momentum. Moving on to the next question. This is from our very own Roman Acosta. What's a film?
Yeah.
He asked me this, and he asked if we could talk about it. And I was like, I guess. So, Mr. Acosta, what's a film?
Answer your own question.
What is a film? All right, first of all, that was a joke. But to answer a film, what is a film? A film is a moving picture of images put together, frames put together. There's a story involved. There's characters. There's themes, and you put all that together. And there's more, like mise en scène, lighting, sound, camera, crew. Put all that together, and you make one beautiful thing called a film. And some are good, some are bad. That's to answer my own question. Thank you, Roman Acosta.
What about you, Marcy? What do you think?
Mine is kind of a long form answer if you want to get.
Hey, let's hear it.
Okay.
Marciano the poet.
Let's do it.
No,
Kubrick.
honestly, I love film, and I have for like quite some time because I just, it was my interest in films sparked when I was me and my family were living with very little, but there was always movies around us, so we couldn't go out, we couldn't do much, but we had a TV, we had a VCR, we had a DVD player. So we just sat and we watched films, and a lot of the times the things that I saw stirred me, and I wondered why. So I continued to look at it deeper. I at the same time I started to apply it to what I read or because again, that's the options in my house were read, color, or watch movies. Like that was it. So that's all I got was just to study, work with color, and read a lot. So I applied what I learned from film to what I read, and then vice versa. And I just saw that there was a language in it that I guess I started to understand, and I didn't feel as alone. So that's the reason I wanted to get into it. It's an audiovisual cue that almost transcends specific languages or even what is said. It's also what's seen and what's heard, or what color speaks to you. And it's also the process itself. You have actors that have their own vision. You have cinematographers with their own vision. You also have like directors with their own vision, and they're all coming together formulating this total message. And I don't know, that's if you watch a movie and you're stirred by it, that's great. But if you get on set and you're able to see this in motion, that's something that I don't think I can find a word to put behind it. I've always had an interest in it, and then actually getting to do it affirmed it that this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. Like I'll die doing this if I have my way.
You've made that clear.
It's like, never mind.
Well, go ahead.
No,
bro.
go for it.
It's like making a baby.
Yeah, dude.
In a way, yeah. In a way, you have the favorite child. But yeah, man. Well, what is a film? I honestly, like, when I was thinking about this question, I was thinking of like, how far can you decompose a film when it stops being a film, And it's hard to answer, like, when does it stop being a film and like start being a slideshow? Do you need it at like certain frame rate, for it to be like a motion picture or stuff like that? And ultimately, I just think it's up to the interpretation of the watcher. You know what I mean? If someone feels like they're connecting with it and they're like really wanting to like get involved with it almost, I think that in of itself can be film in that simple of an answer. Because I know, at least for me, like my inspirations growing up, they weren't like the artsy, like, like The Godfather, or even like Jurassic Park. It was like Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Like, I love that film, but let's be honest here. Let's be honest, prequel fans. It doesn't hold up very well, especially when compared to the drama of the sequel and its characters. Just on an objective level, it doesn't hold up as good. But I connected with the film. I loved the film. And that makes it a film.
If we could see how many people just dropped the live stream right then and there. They're like, okay.
We don't have the address on here, right?
I wonder how many people are going to comment about that.
Well, we'll see how many people watch. That's the key.
Yeah.
No,
I think I'm
that's a big
safe
thing.
for now. I think I'm safe. Shout out George Lucas. Shout out Star Wars. I love all of it.
If only
But
you can come down
you got to
here.
be able to separate your own love for something and just the critical breakdown of it,
Yeah.
There
But
you go.
for me, I think it's just about connection.
Yes, sir.
All right, moving on to the next question. This is from Forrillian, I believe is the pronunciation. What are some of your favorite films?
Oh, thank God this came up.
Oh.
Is it, oh,
Can I go first?
of course.
I'm going to go first. Some of my favorite films. All right, so I can say, I'm going to say I enjoy Pulp Fiction. That is my favorite film. But can everybody else say that that's their favorite film? Yeah. So let me say something different. I'm going to say something that came out recently. La La Land. Okay. Yeah, sure. Parasite too. I mean, I don't know if that's my favorite, but I think the best of 2019. I also like stuff like Raging Bull. I appreciate American Beauty. Birdman. The Shining. It's a Wonderful Life, if you want to go there. But see, these are all films that I think everybody can say, like, oh yeah, like those are my favorite films too. Like The Godfather. Like, oh yeah, part 2. Like, don't let me forget. So say something different. Do the Right Thing, Manchester by the Sea. I think those are some
Man,
that
you got a laundry list.
Oh yeah, I've seen a lot of films, man. So I think those are just films that I can like I can love, without people saying like that's their favorite too. Like I try to be different, but not. It's just because the popularity of them too. Like I say Pulp Fiction. Well, duh. Like, of course, it's everybody's favorite film. So I like to see the diversity of films.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel it.
But even that, with the popularity and aspects, or there's a pop culture aspect that applies to it, that You know, like even if I don't know, even if my favorite film is Star Wars and everybody's seen it, like one person's take is vastly different than the other person's take, and then you delve in and you start talking a little bit more, and as opposed to well, I've seen this French film that was like done by Truffaut, and then everybody's like, oh, well, haven't seen that one.
Yeah.
Probably have never gonna see that one. Like, so then there's that conversation that kind of tapers, but like
it kind of goes into like classics are classic for a reason.
Yeah. But all of those were bomb. I loved watching those. Do you want to go?
I'm processing because it's like I don't know. Like I kind of got the smallest. Do you have some in mind?
Yeah. Off the top, I really liked older movies. Like I liked everybody bombs on it. Like, but I loved Citizen Kane.
There you go.
I loved Metropolis. I loved just any Fritz Lang, any of his stuff. I liked Round 41. I liked The Forbidden Kingdom. Akira Kurosawa's work, just all that stuff. Like any chance I can see, like grab a movie that let's be real, isn't like $40 like a copy. Like if I can grab one of his work, I always go out of my way to try to. I really liked Parasite. That ranks up there now. Surprisingly, one that sticks with me like a lot, one that I think about a lot, and just the look, the aesthetic is like The Dark Knight. That's huge to me, and like I continue to watch it, and I trip out on some of the like just the symbolic imaging. I just everything. Nolan has a way of using the camera as a storyteller in and of itself, like the camera itself. Every motion is a word or a phrase or a jab. I love that. Beyond that, Big Lebowski. Anybody? No?
I was just watching it last night.
God. I love that movie, dude.
I know.
Stuff like that. It just sticks with me.
No, I realize how weird that movie is. It's been a while. There's a one sequence where I think he's like high or intoxicated or something.
Yeah.
And like you get the little man running with the scissors. I'm like, this movie's weird, dude. He's like flying in the air.
Well, like you want to go that step further, Raising Arizona. That movie is so trippy.
Really, that's still Coen brother, right?
Yep.
I haven't seen that film. No.
I love their absurdist comedy, dude.
I was gonna say I had always slept on the Coen brothers.
Yeah.
Like, up until recently.
No Country.
Like I had heard of them, but the only movie I'd seen of theirs was like No Country for Old Men.
Oh yeah.
But the more I looked at the classics, the more I was like, oh man, they made that. Oh man, they made that. And the comedic timing is really neat, really good. Yeah, so that's been one more recently.
Buster Scruggs, nobody.
Yeah,
Not a fan.
It was far fetched.
Some shorts are better than others. Some shorts are better than others.
Yeah. It is just a series of short films, you know. But I wasn't a fan of enjoying it. Like, I said that wrong. I just wasn't a fan of it. Like, I don't know.
Go for it, man.
I don't know. Just that's it.
Buster's gonna come for you, bro.
Yep.
Yes, he is.
For me, my favorite films. Star Wars is a pretty high-ranking one for me. Up until the recent trilogy, we could get into that another day.
Okay, let me ask you, True.
Yes.
What makes you like Star Wars so much?
I think it's its accessibility and its ability to it's highly competent in both areas. To where if you're a filmmaker, you can love it. If you're just a film goer, you can watch it. Because the idea is, I feel like there's usually a split. It's either critics hate a movie and the audience loves it, or the audience doesn't like a movie and then the critics love it, you know?
Yeah.
An example of that is I really like The Exorcist 3. It's a very specific film and it's very cut and dry, but it's got this really thick atmosphere about it, really awesome performances, just really compelling story as a whole. I tried to show it to a couple of my more casual friends and they literally fell asleep during it. And I was like, what? Why? But with Star Wars, it is such a compelling story and it pushed the boundaries of VFX like no other, at least the original trilogy. Even the new trilogy, or prequel trilogy, let me clarify, had pushed VFX really, really far. Just for one shot, I believe it took over 100 exposures of film Like during the asteroid sequence, there's a sequence where you see like the Millennium Falcon like weaving through like the meteors and then the stars. That was over 100 exposures of film, I believe, just for that shot. A few seconds. Like the dedication to the craft is immense. And to go on to just story, like the characters are relatable, they're clear cut. It's a textbook example of like, you don't need some flashy, intricate story. If you tell a simple story and tell it well, people connect. So I connect a lot to Star Wars. It's got a lot of layers. I can ramble for days, about Star Wars. So that's definitely one of my favorites. Another favorite of mine would be Life is Beautiful. It's an Italian film.
Yeah,
so
good
that's
one.
not the proper title. I'm just giving the English one. I don't want to tear up the Italian version. But if you guys want to watch it for yourself, I highly recommend it. Don't look at any synopsis. Just go in blind. That's how I went in. And the story evolves in ways you wouldn't expect, which is why I highly recommend just going in, not knowing what it is. Life is Beautiful, Italian movie. Google it. Watch it. Great movie. And then as like a third and a fourth, I would say Forrest Gump and then The Iron Giant. Just because of their optimism and just their light spirit. Because like I said, I think a lot of filmmakers worry about making something simple and just worry about making something straightforward. They don't want to be seen as like someone that can't make something complex. But I would argue it is more difficult to tell a really compelling, simple story than it is a compelling, complex story. Because just the complexity in of itself can be compelling. But to make something very simple where it's just this one thing and you make it so good people can't help but watch, I think in of itself is a strong achievement.
Yeah, you mentioned why you like your films. I didn't even think about that till after you said that. I think I like the films I chose so much is because like it's just the story. I mean, some are for pure excitement. Like Pulp Fiction. Like that's you watch that and I watch it and I'm amazed by it. Every single time. But other movies that like on a realist level, like Manchester by the Sea. I even forgot to mention like Lady Bird. Or like Raging Bull, which is about your own inner struggles and trying to overcome them. I find that really like fascinating in how it's just, I think on an emotional level, like it's hard seeing somebody try to get over that hump, like try to, reach your goal despite all these struggles, these personal inner struggles that you go through. And I don't know why, but I really connect to that, it's a weird thing. And I try to make, some stories I write, if I'm being personal about my stories, I really want to see the struggle, see the triumph, or see the tragedy, that people go through. Like La La Land, I remember watching that in the theaters, man. I love it so much.
That's another favorite. Yeah.
I want to talk about the ending, but not every. I want to say it, but I'm not.
Spoiler alert.
Oh man, spoiler. I'm just gonna say this: not everybody gets what they want in life.
That's
It's either it's a compromise, You get one thing, but you lose this thing, And you saw how the film ended up, And something about that I love. I don't know.
Now that I've like rounded all like my thoughts and like fed off of all this, I feel like what I'm getting from it is just things that leave an impression. And a lot of the films that like are top ranking now that I think of them are like very impressionistic. In a way to me, like if I really were to go off the top, like of what my favorite films were, it would be probably like 2001: Space Odyssey.
Oh, I forgot to mention that one, dude. Great one.
Yeah, Godfather.
Yeah.
Obviously what I mentioned, the Metropolis and Citizen Kane. No Country for Old Men. Stuff that just leaves an impression. Like even Ben-Hur, stuff like that. Like huge production value, huge. Just over the top, even I don't know the 10 Commandments, the water scene, him splitting the waves.
Yeah,
like, that's insane to me,
dude. I showed that to my girlfriend, and I was like, "Isn't this amazing?" And then she like almost like gave me that side eye of like, "Are you serious?" Yeah. And I was like, "That's so good. It's like a painting, But I don't know. But I wholeheartedly agree with like the 10 Commandments. That scene is amazing.
Am I really gonna reveal? Like I rarely ever say what my all-time favorite movie is.
Let's hear it.
Should I?
Let's hear it.
Should I?
Let's hear it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Drum roll, please.
No, honestly, this is a rare moment where I'm gonna let it go. Voyage to the Moon.
Oh, okay.
All-time favorite movie.
Wait, Voyage to the Moon?
Voyage to the Moon.
What year? A Trip to the
Bro,
Moon?
It's oldie. It's the one.
A
Trip to the Moon. Oh,
Trip to the
yeah.
Moon.
The very considered one of the first films
Yep.
ever made. Yeah, George Zemelia's.
Mhm.
There you go. Dude,
It's-
when the rocket lands in the eye
Yep.
and the tongue sticks out, dude, that's iconic.
Even just the moon people,
Oh, yeah.
or the scenes being pulled away where we get to look down on Earth for the first time. It's like how do you like being? I wonder how the audience felt sitting and seeing, like, looking down on the moon, looking down on the Earth. Like,
Honestly,
yeah, it's
That's imagination.
a lot of
You
people
know.
lose context for like these revolutionary films, and like because it may not necessarily hold up visually to like what we can do now, obviously, to where you can do virtually anything. And but like at the time, you know, like even with the very first film with the train, I forget, it's like a train arriving at whatever station.
The Great Train Robbery.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Where like you see the train pull into the station, and there was
Is it the one where he shoots at the audience at the end?
maybe
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
because I just know audience members literally ran from the theater because the train was coming towards the camera,
No way.
and they thought the train was gonna hit them.
I know
and
they thought that about the gun when he's aiming the gun, shooting the gun right at the camera. People were like screaming. People were going crazy.
Exactly, dude. Like, and again, like even to loop it back to Star Wars, you know, like the VFX then revolutionary, Blade Runner, you know, or even like Gollum for Lord of the Rings. Like these breakthroughs visual for VFX are like huge. And going back to Trip to the Moon, like insane, you know, like for people back then. Like I'm just thinking right now, like, man, imagine if you'd never seen anything even similar to that before, you know, like where screens aren't even necessarily, you know, accessible, and you're going in, you get to see like quote unquote the Earth for the first time. Crazy.
Even like recent VFX, like Birdman, how it was supposedly done on one take. It's meant to look like one take. And again, in 1917, where it's supposed to look like it's one take. You know, people don't see that often. So when they do see it, they praise the heck out of that, man.
Exactly. And even then, like going to 1917, the coordination behind that, you know, it's where it's not even necessarily VFX that like take the show. It's just the idea that like you would not have been able to coordinate something this visually intricate and like
Pre-prod.
blocking wise, you know, without technology of today, you know, to where they're using Steadicam operators passing off to truck operators and like insane, you know.
Yeah, yes, sir.
But honestly, I attribute it a lot to just the volition of filmmakers at that point. Like, I'm going to do this. It's, you have all these factors and odds stacked against you. Even just the primary one being duality. Like, are people really going to sit down knowing that this is going to be like a dizzying thing? My brother watched it and he was like, it kind of made me dizzy, if we're being honest. Even the thing with the even with the Revenant, like even that made him, he's like, I don't know why. Is it just the
It's not
breaking
normal.
it's
not normal. You don't see that in every film, you know. If it was something that was done in every film, people would be used to it. That's just the thing, we're not used to it,
Yeah.
you know. Sorry to cut you off. But.
No, that's
Yeah.
that's the fire. That's the fire that gets
Yeah.
that keeps us running, dude.
Definitely. Every breakthrough, it was just like a filmmaker going like, do you think we could do this? And the producer looking at him
People like this.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Come again?
Yeah.
What if we had a UFO blow up the White House? And then Independence Day. You know, like
Definitely.
just very fun visual things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but thank you for that question, Zellenberger. Or was it
No,
Forelian? My bad.
Yeah.
I was a couple
Wait,
behind.
what did they ask?
They asked some of your favorite films.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Yes, I know
I
we
forgot
showed
the
off
question.
a little bit, but now you know.
Oh, okay.
But thank you for that question. Moving on. This is from Juan Paul Films. Shout out to Juan Paul Films. He really
My man.
promoted us on his page for a minute.
Hey.
My man.
So strong shout out there. Thank you very much. Who are your favorite directors?
Yes.
Great question.
Oh man.
Oh man, you're right. I'm gonna pass it to Marcy because
Go.
Rowan's gotten the couple first ones.
Ah, go
Okay,
go.
all
Marcy.
right. The big ones are like the first and foremost is like Kubrick. Like that's the one that just gets me.
Oh, I know.
Oh yeah. A lot of my friends are like, "Oh, Kubrick over here." Well, nah.
Yeah.
I'm going. If I set my mind to get this shot, I'm going to get that shot. We're on take 14. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna do it.
30 more.
Yeah, 30 more just to make sure. I got Kubrick. I love Chaplin, both his acting and everything, just on the production scale, production end of it. I loved Fellini. Like, I loved just the aspect of he wanted to take a dream or something that he, like, to its full capacity, something that he saw in his head, just a daydream or an actual dream, and bring it to fruition. And I love that. I love Spielberg's work. I think, like, more and more I find more credence with Nicholas Winding Refn. I love his stuff. Yeah, like there's far too many to mention. But like down to like authorship, Kurosawa. Like I always study him, and I always find credence with his words. Like if you cannot sit down and write, you you need to rethink filming. So, but
Spike
yeah,
Lee
that's
says
it.
the same thing.
Yeah,
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 says
dude.
you must learn how to write a film if you want to be a director.
Yeah, you just got to sit down. Like that's probably the most grueling part. Like even Hitchcock, like all of it was pre-production. Like when he gets on a set, like he looked completely like, not completely, but like mostly uninterested, because he's like, and they asked him like, why are you so okay with the shot? He was known for like 1 takes, 2 takes. He's like, okay, we got it. Well, why you look so like neutral or placid? I've seen it before. I've seen the entire movie
Yeah,
before.
I think the
Like,
quote goes like, oh, this is my second time making the film.
yeah, it's,
Or whatever, to where like they've just gone so intense in pre-pro. Like it's done. Like they already know everything, like because they've thought of every single variable, and he's just sitting on set like, it's kind of boring, which I have felt that, when I've gone to intense planning, but I still advocate it. I still support it because it's just always better to come in prepared than under.
do it.
That's awesome. That's sick.
Yeah.
Oh man, have you not heard that story
No,
before?
no, that's sick.
Yeah, no, he's just sitting there and they're like, you good? And he's like, I mean, this is my second time.
We got it. Like, yeah,
Yeah, dude.
that's awesome.
But yeah, just off the top, that's pretty much it.
Those are your high markers.
Yeah, I would mention Coppola a lot. Like, I toss him around. Yeah, just it's a big body, and I'm always learning. Orson Welles, obviously. But yeah, like favorite director. Like if I had to really come down to it, is the methodical nature of Kubrick. Like I always come back to him. He is. If there was an aspect of the film that was an aspect, like if it were just a minuscule particular, there was a reason behind it. Everything down, like not just framing, but just props. Like there was a reason it was in on screen. So it's the same thing. I always go into a set like, okay, is this needed? Is this needed? Is this needed? What can I strip down to its bare bones? So yeah.
That's good. I think it's always good. It's always important to get in the director's mindset. Like you look up to Kubrick. So what was his philosophy on what should be in the frame? What should be out? I think it's important to pick those minds. When you have the time.
Definitely. You definitely want a macro scale as a director. If you're thinking of yourself as a director, you should be able to answer any question about like the film on the spot. Like you need to put that deep of film into it, where it's like, oh, what kind of clothes are the characters wearing? What colors? What's this person's relationship to this other character that they don't meet in the film? And just like literally like being able to answer anything to a T. You need to put that deep of thought into it, because that's your job as the director. You don't need to worry too much about like the micro things, like what lenses are we using and stuff like that. Hopefully, once you get to the larger levels, because you'll have your, cinematographer or DP taking care of that. So always be making sure, Jacob's little tidbits.
Yeah.
Know the little details. Know the finer
Yeah.
things in life.
And that's I recently heard a podcast where somebody went from indie filmmaker to I can't remember who directed The Ruins off the top of my head, but he got signed on by Spielberg off the top, or like going from just so small to so big overnight. He said that there were like 3 script consultants that were assigned to him and like for a week, and then there would be a new consultant. They would ask him questions about the script to make him break at that point, because that's money on the table that didn't necessarily need to be spent or could be spent a better way. So they're like, okay, why do you need this? Oh, but did you think if you went this way with this direction or this scene? No, and if you weren't able to defend yourself at that point, it's like,
You're just getting stripped down.
break that script down real quick again. So
That's
Honestly.
rough.
You need to be able to answer everything.
Wow.
You know, I've even gotten on ourselves during pre-pro for our short films to where I'll be like, oh, why do you want this shot? And then every once in a while we'll be caught off guard and we'll just sit there like, I don't know. You know, and it's just making sure to put that forethought into being like, what does this mean to me? What does this mean to the story? What does this mean for the character? Because it always matters. I'm always very conscious of like what I want to do with every shot, like what the relation is and like what it's establishing with everything.
That's cool. I kind of want to go back and look at my recent film that I made and just look at like, all right, what's important, what's not, you know? What can I learn from it?
Honestly, like you would be surprised the fat you cut out. Like here's another Jacob tidbit. If you're a director, really ask yourself why you need an insert shot whenever you do an insert shot. A key mark of an amateur filmmaker is just extraneous insert shots to where like someone walks into the house, insert shot of them putting down the keys on the counter, and then cut to them going. It's like, why'd I need to see that? What was the importance of that? Because we never come back to the keys. Because when you do an insert shot, that is the point.
It means something. There
Exactly.
you go, yeah.
A funny thing, like I said, I've been watching some stupid movies recently, and sorry to anyone who may be a fan of this movie. I don't know how popular it is. It's called Burlesque.
Ooh,
I haven't
you got
seen-
some haters on my friend list, dude.
But
Instantly.
I watched Burlesque, and it opens with the main character. She's like in a bad job or whatever, and like the owners are drunk and like won't pay her, and then he leaves, and then when he leaves, she goes into the drawer and like takes the money or whatever, and then the other waitress comes in and she's like, oh, you don't want to take that money or whatever, like Mr. So-and-so is gonna be really mad. And she's like, no, it's fine. Like, here's money for you and your kids. I know you're struggling. I'm going to take my money and I'm going to go. I'm going to chase my dreams to be a singer or whatever. And then what I guessed was I was like, oh, like in the midpoint or like during like the turn, I bet that bartender is going to come back and like be angry that she stole the money from him because they made that a big deal. And then my girlfriend who I was watching with, she made me watch the movie. She goes, oh, no, he never comes back. Like that was just whatever. And I was like, what was all that for?
So why would you build up?
Yeah, I was like, that was a perfect setup. And
Yeah.
I'd be like a dramatic, like, oh, she's going good. And then something terrible happens because this bartender hunts her down.
I'll posit that like all insert shots, like as necessary as they are, I really don't like them. Like the recent time that I've seen you on set and you shot an insert shot where he was setting down like a glass of like alcohol, and then it like starts to slowly drain. There's a passage of time, a quick passage of time, or even a turn of whatever it was. But still, even then, I'm just like, oh, is it really necessary?
What about like Damien Chazelle, like Whiplash and La La Land with those quick
Here's
cuts?
the thing. Is like I said, it's an insert shot without motive. Because let's say with Damien Chazelle,
I was going to say he uses them for establishing, right? Wouldn't you say?
I would say more for pace. Like, let's say during Whiplash, like
Okay.
during those drum sequences where it's just quickly cutting from like his hand to his foot to this whatever. Like it's
Okay.
adding to the energy and the momentum of like, whoa,
I
we're
agree.
everywhere.
Let me correct myself. Not necessary, or just like more accessible, because the recent script that I worked on, like I read it to, like I had a reading and everybody in the room was like, what is this guy talking about? It was the scene was going to turn to where we innuendo a shot of somebody getting like their throat slit. Like we don't see somebody getting their throat slit, but there is a scene prior to a bartender picking up a paring knife that is used to like slit the throat, paring into an orange. And I really wanted the sound. I wanted the sound of the skin being cut.
Like the visual parallel.
Yeah, or even when you cut into like a crispy orange and it just kind of spatters out a little bit, like there's like that release. I wanted that shot, and everybody's like, "Why do we need the orange?" And I'm like, "Guys, just please, just hear me out. Trust me.
You've spent a page and a half on this orange, Marcy.
Is that really a necessary element? Yes, it is.
You don't have the vision.
No, one thing, another like tidbit, Roman's tidbits, trust the director.
Just
Please trust him on set. I've had experiences, where people are questioning me, and not for breakdowns too. They're just like genuinely asking, like, why do we need to do this? Trust me. Mm-hmm. Trust me.
Mm-hmm. And also, yeah, like you got to welcome it, and you got to just make sure that you know the answer, because when they ask you, you should be able to say like why. You should be able to articulate it. You know, I think it was maybe Einstein. I don't know. Einstein gets misquoted for everything. Everyone's like, Einstein said this. And that's like, did he? But
Did he?
I think it was him that said like, oh, if you can't explain a concept to like a second grader or like a 2-year-old or something, then you don't know it well enough, because you should be able to break it down simple enough to like layman terms.
Yeah,
You know?
that's a good.
You're giving me a look, Marcy.
Yeah, I'm giving you a look. Feynman.
Feynman?
Yeah, he's a physicist. He came up with that technique to like breaking down physics.
Okay. So, misquote.
There you go.
There we go. That's why we're here. Boom.
Boom.
No alternate facts here.
Do Boom.
Oh my god.
That's just my thing. Boom.
I was gonna say, well, we'll start printing T-shirts soon. Our merchandise. It'll just have a little boom on the front.
Little baby
on
one.
the on the pocket.
Yeah, on
just
the little pocket. Boom.
boom.
Yeah.
Little exclamation point. Just
Why
We'll
not?
leave a poster in every short film. It'll be like our Easter egg.
Yeah.
You know, instead like on Disney rides where there's the hidden Mickey heads, it's gonna be like little hidden booms.
what about phallic symbolism in Disney?
I think we're going off topic.
All right, my bad. Next question.
Yeah. Favorite director?
Oh, I'm glad we're here. Favorite director. My bad. Wow, we're still.
I was gonna say we hadn't even
I
gone
know,
over.
right?
We took a large tangent
Yeah.
there. Sorry
All
to
right.
whoever had asked that, Juan Paul. Sorry, Juan Paul Films.
So favorite director. I have a list. So my number one is Tarantino, and it happens to be his birthday today. So happy birthday to the
Oh,
great
happy birthday,
QT.
Tarantino.
Happy birthday, Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah. All right. Well, first of all, Tarantino. I think he, in my early roots of like getting into film, he was kind of the first person I saw, and I like Kill Bill, and then Pulp Fiction, Reservoir. Like I was probably like in a junior in high school, you know, and that's when I was like barely starting to become like into all this, you know. So Tarantino was definitely there. I've grown to love more and more of Scorsese the more films I watch. He's probably my second. Not his stereotypes, you know, because I know true you hate the stereotype crime and everything that the crime that he tells, you know.
To clarify, I don't hate the genre of crime. It's a genre that you're either gonna do like really good or really bad. And there's been a few filmmakers locally to where like it just seemed like they kept going towards crime films, and it just started to really like hit me the wrong way, to where every time I heard it's a crime film, I was like, I don't know about that one, Chief.
Funny, I did a crime film at the 48-hour film festival, buddy.
But here's the thing, that was done well. I'm gonna be honest.
That was
When I
not.
saw you guys walking into the car at first and like hearing that like kind of like buddy cop lingo, I started sweating a little bit for you. And I was like, I don't know, like he's setting a certain tone here. But like it really progressed. Like there was a story to tell, you know.
You know, I was gonna be really mad if I got another crime film at the 48 this year.
Oh, like
was-
this next coming one?
I was gonna be kind of mad, or like just recently.
Oh, really?
I was gonna be kind of mad because I don't want crime 2 years in a row.
Yeah, isn't that kind of like the film you made?
Which one? The one I just made?
The one you just made. Would you not call that crime?
No, it's
A
more of
little
a.
bit.
I call it more
I
of a
guess
thriller.
not.
Like
Yeah,
it's not really
definitely
crime.
thriller.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah.
Anyway.
Because you end up going off the rails and just throwing a lot of F words and then slamming your fist on the table. Lots
Yeah.
of guns,
The
lots
hammer,
of knives,
you know,
lots of
hammer in a hand.
yeah, yeah. That's crime
Ear-
film.
ears cut
Sorry,
off.
guys.
Anyway, Kubrick is probably my third favorite. It's just the way he tells stories, you know. Like, you know, I know Marcy, you mentioned him earlier, but I think the way he tells the story and like, I don't know, I can't really get into it. I don't know.
It's an experience.
It's just an experience. Like 2001, nobody understood that film. You watch it 2 more times and you love it.
I'm gonna be honest. One time I watched the film, I was very young, like freshman year, roughly.
Oh God.
And I sat to watch because I was like, I hear so much about it. And then when it was like, how long is that sequence with the apes in the beginning?
It's like 20, 30. No, it's like 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, it was the answer
thought
for
this was a
freshman
space
me
film.
was too long.
Yeah.
And just watching these ships like run around like bat bones together and like
But
and I was like,
that's important because
it fits thematically.
It does because it's
yeah.
about the evolution of technology, right? They pick up the bone and they use it to
the
be,
famous match cut.
Oh my God, that match cut. Jesus.
Yeah,
But yeah, but I'm just saying, like, those are just one of those instances where it's like, yeah, I can see where someone may have, as a layman, issues with it. But
I can appreciate the directors like Coppola for what he's done. Again, like Orson Welles for what he's done. The only problem is I haven't seen enough of their films.
Mhm.
You know, like
You wouldn't be able
especially
to necessarily classify their like filmography.
right, like Orson Welles definitely, like, you know, Hitchcock. I mean, I'm familiar with Hitchcock, just not his older ones or the ones that aren't as seen as much. Like everybody's seen Psycho, everybody knows like The Birds. You know, like what about Rope? What about Rebecca? You know, 1940. You know, Frank Capra. You know, I don't know if you thought about him. You know, but what he did was amazing. You know, It's a Wonderful Life. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. You know, other directors, like early directors too, like Billy Wilder. You know, Gene Kelly. You know, I appreciate what they've done, and they've all had significant impacts in Hollywood filmmaking and the progression we see now. Like, you know, I know you mentioned you mentioned like Spielberg, like why he's your favorite. Spoiler, but Spielberg is True's favorite film.
Thanks, bro.
Or film director. But you mentioned why, and I've been thinking about that ever since. Not gonna lie, you mentioned why is because like the diverse, right? His diverse set of films.
He's a very
like,
versatile filmmaker.
and I always thought, okay, that's a really good way of putting it. Because personally, I don't really like all his films. Not gonna lie, but his diversity and versatility, you know, is there, and I appreciate that. Even new filmmakers today, like Christopher Nolan's been on a tear since he first came out with like Insomniac. You know, what year was that? His first films.
I don't know if it was
Doodlebug.
Doodlebug. I remember that one. That
Yeah.
was long. The fall, like, was it? There was one. I think The Following or something where like. But anyway, Memento. I always thought Memento was his first one. Besides,
I think it was. My bad. But he's been on a tear ever since his first film.
Oh, dude.
Newer filmmakers like Damien Chazelle. You know, I'm in love with his first two films. I haven't seen First Man. Not gonna lie. But you know, Barry
Most
Jenkins.
people out there probably haven't even heard of First Man. You know.
Yeah.
So.
You know, Barry Jenkins. Who else is like coming up? I know Noah Baumbach. He put himself on the map with Marriage Story this recent year, and that was amazing. I don't know. I'm always just trying to expand my range of directors. You know.
Yeah.
You know, now that you mention it, like Steve McQueen. Like
12 years? Or that Steve McQueen or actor?
No, yeah, director.
Oh, director, yeah.
Did he direct?
12 Years a Slave?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
I've seen Hunger by him, and it just stays with me. I don't know, like just like the feel in the same thing with 12 Years a Slave. Like, I don't know, man. Some of the shots, just the feeling of like, I don't know, weight. I don't, just the ability of these filmmakers to just make you just feel things. It's so trip.
We were even talking about before we started the podcast. Derek Cianfrance.
Yeah.
How do you say his name? Yeah, he did Blue Valentine, The Place Beyond the Pines. You know, something about those films are like he keeps them to like a personal, like real level. You know, and that's something I kind of I take deeply. You know, like I was just talking about Blue Valentine. I just watched that film. I was telling True that paved the way for me because I have stories that are similar to tell. And I'm just gonna say it. That paved the way for me, on spirit, like on a creative level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel it. I definitely feel it. You good there? Or I was gonna
I'm
say,
done.
if we were to diverge, I was gonna say,
I'm done.
Then for the spoiler one, like just in overall directors, Steven Spielberg was one for me, just because of like Roman says, versatility. I think he's able to hit any genre and at least perform in a superior fashion. It may not be like the best fashion, you know, like to where he's not beating out the directors who specialize in those genres, but just even the fact that he's able to perform at this high of a level in any given genre, really, I think says a lot. And that's why he's a huge inspiration for me. And also kind of calling back to my idea of marrying like the auteur artist crowd to like the popcorn eating, like just movie loving crowd, and like he manages to bring both of those together to where it's just like spectacle. So that's just one director overall. For contemporary directors, Robert Eggers is probably one of my top directors right now. His performances with The Lighthouse and The Witch are just great. And one of the best ways I've heard this articulated, it was from Willem Dafoe in an interview where he said a great thing about Eggers is that he's able to make these period films and these period pieces, but like the film isn't like showing itself off as a period film or a period piece. It's like it's this horror film that just so happens to be put in this period, because I noticed after hearing that, like whenever I watch a period movie, usually it's like, oh, look at our old town. We're so authentic.
1858. Like
Yeah, I know, exactly. 1858. And you like, it spends like a minute just to show the production value of like, look, we have these horses going. We built this town. And like, it's just like, it's a very show-offy and not conscious of the story. Whereas Eggers is just purely story focused. And I think that's a really good standout quality about him. And then another contemporary director, as you previously said, Damien Chazelle. I just really like his focus on character, and again, just like his visual intuition is just like very high, very good. For overall directors, I'd already said Spielberg. The other one would be Quentin Tarantino. I envy his ability to create such an iconic visual style. And he's one of the few directors to where like I hunt down and like look at the filmography. There's not been many people where I'm like, I'm going to watch all their movies. And Tarantino is one of those few just because of his just visual style and his ability to like just craft engaging story and engaging characters. It's really, really solid. So that's, I would say top 4, I guess, in no particular order. But those directors are just really, really solid, really good inspirations for me. If we were to kind of expand slightly, like for producers, I would say George Lucas and Walt Disney are high up there just because of their like, I'm going to do it my way mentality, to where like when they couldn't find a studio that's going to like fund them, they got to fund themselves and just like push that forward. And that's just been a huge staple for me. So those two are huge filmmaker role models as well, outside of the role of director.
Nice.
I can't remember who runs like Annapurna and A24. Going on those levels, like that same mentality of, well, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna. Oh, you're not gonna throw funding my way? Well, we'll just pull together and just do it. That's
what I love about A24 is because you see all these ranges. Again, diversity of films. I was going to mention earlier, but Waves. I know I keep mentioning Waves in front of True, but
Waves.
Marcy, have you seen Waves? Have you even heard of that movie?
I've been wanting to see it for a long time.
I think it's on like Apple TV or iTunes or whatever. But Waves, man, was really good, and it's I don't want to say it's a simple story, but it still keeps that personal feeling, And it doesn't do anything crazy like what Hollywood would normally do. These big studio productions would normally do. Mm-hmm. They're just telling a simple story in the most like beautiful way. You look at like Moonlight. You look at like I just recently watched like 20th Century Women. Something about those films, just personal. And it's more about like craftsmanship and telling the story in the most simplest and beautiful way. Because you get some really solid creativity out of those movies, A24 movies.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, was The Witch A24? No,
I doubt it.
I get that confused.
It may have been.
It Comes at Night. Shoot, even Last Black Man in San Francisco.
Oh yeah.
Like the one that gets me every time is Ex Machina.
There you go.
Yeah, that. Like it's very stark, it's very bleak, and it took a minute to build up. And it was just pretty. It like you could tell that there was like money put into it, and it was just sheer belief. Like, and that's what really like sparked me. Like, wow, they're taking on like a variety of people, like, and they're throwing a lot behind it. I mean, if I had my say, I'd. Shoot, that's the next stop for me. That would be really
A24 is definitely the role model in my opinion of how production houses should run. But
I imagine there's a lot of flexibility. Like there's no producers that are like on you.
I'm sure in like some
sense,
obvious sense,
right,
but they definitely want to see the director's vision through, and I think that's the intention.
Yeah.
Some just see the dollar signs, some see just the creative vision, and some see both. And I think those are the ones you really gotta look at. Mm-hmm.
And if we're talking belief, Swiss Army Man,
that's a divisive film. We won't get into divisive films.
All right, honestly, I stopped after like the 5th fart.
I couldn't make it to double-digit farts.
That's sheer belief, dude. You got to give it to him for that one.
Lie, yeah.
Oh, man. we were just going on, aren't we?
Oh, definitely. All right, final question. This is gonna be one of my personal favorites here.
Okay.
But this comes from M. Bosky 5122. Again, thank you to Juan Paul for the previous question.
Michael Bosky.
Michael
What's up,
Bosky.
Bosky?
Yes, sir. What are the movies that made you want to be a filmmaker? Oh my God. And the reason I really enjoy this question is that it's separate from just ones you want to watch and enjoy watching, to where like I watched A Marriage Story and I was like, this is a great film, but that didn't make me want to go out and make a film per se, Like it's just something that I sat down and I engaged in and was enthralled in. And I just want to see what you guys think in terms of like, when I watched this film, this made me like want to participate. This made me want to go out and get a camera and just do something of my own. So I'm just wondering, do you guys have any ideas right now of what that inspiration may be for you?
Go for it.
Yeah. When I was first starting out, getting into film, I remember, I think, which one was it? I remember Good Will Hunting was there, Back to the Future, Whiplash, Kill Bill, Pulp Fiction, some Tarantino, like Reservoir Dogs. I remember those being the earliest films that really got me into more films, just how good they were. I wanted to see more. I wanted to know who was responsible of who, like who directed this, who wrote this, who even produced this, who's behind the camera. That led me to so much more. And today, even now, I look at, like, I don't have an example, but I look at films today and I wonder, okay, who's behind this? Who's behind the cinematography on this movie? And I go out, look at the films he's made. Oh, that was him. That was her. Wow, that's awesome. And I don't know, I think those films really, really just inspired me the most.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it honestly, I think it all started like one by one. So like I said earlier, like who's responsible for this? I think the first was acting. So if I look at Good Will Hunting, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck. Okay, I've heard of him. What else have I seen him in? The Martian. Rounders. What else have they been in? Ben Affleck too. Like he's Batman now.
I was gonna say to take a quick detour. I highly recommend anyone who's interested in the behind the scenes stuff to look into the behind the scenes of like Ben Affleck's story. Because Good Will Hunting was actually, again, a product of like that entrepreneur mindset of like he was getting typecast as like roles he didn't want to play, and he wanted to show a more versatile like skill set. So him and Matt Damon wrote Good Will Hunting together and made it together. So I think that's another good example of just like really taking your own capital and investing in yourself, because if you can't take a chance on yourself, no one else will.
Yes, sir. And like I said, first it was studying these actors. Who are these actors? What have they been in? What can they lead me to? Then it was these writers. What can I take from these writers? Then it was these directors. What can I take from these awesome directors? And they just led me to a whole range of films. And eventually filmmaking, which I picked up my first camera senior year. And I had no idea how to use it until a few months ago. I've had the camera for 4 years. I just learned how to use it a few months ago. So, and I'm still learning,
Hey, better late than never.
Yeah. So
always got time.
Yeah. So I think that's my story.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man. What about you?
The reason I was looking down was this, even like Jon Favreau with his.
That's another great producer.
Yeah, straight up. And he started out. Well, I don't know if it's his first film, but I don't know if you guys have seen Made with Jon Favreau and Vince Vaughn. Jon Favreau is he wrote it, he directed it, he filmed it, he produced it with Vince Vaughn. Wow. And he's acting in it. Just that aspect of like he wasn't getting anywhere besides he had a camera, he had a desire to be in film, he had no real money up front but his own, and he just made a film that he could make, and it was all based on favors. He worked on sets and he met a lot of small-time actors. A lot of the sets that he was working on were crime sets. So he brought a lot of these people that were like typecast as criminals, and he knew that they can play it, so he made a movie for it. I don't know where I was going with that besides just I don't know, you have a desire to get in it, you will figure out a way to get in it. And I don't know, there's always that igniting moment. And at that point, it's almost... I guess it's almost a tragedy in that way, because like as much as I want to do anything else, this is what I want to do, and as much as the odds are stacked against me, against you guys, against all of us, it's just something that we need to do. And I don't know if I interrupted anyone, but the movie that made me really want to make movies, off the top of my head, were like I don't know, Dead Poet Society, something that really brought the best out of actors. What was it like There Will Be Blood? Like, imagine getting one actor that just has like such a vast amount of skill and talent behind him, and just you have access to work with them one-on-one and just milk everything that you can. Paul Thomas Anderson has a talent for that. He can take an actor and just get everything. And so that, I don't know, man. Honestly, like Blade Runner, honestly, was probably one of the movies that made me think, okay, I'm gonna do this. Like, I am gonna do this. Like, just seeing I don't know, how dreamlike, like.
And to build off of that, like, just the production value and the visuals of Blade Runner hold up so crazy. If you ever want to see how insanely good they are, watch the original Tron from the 80s first, and then watch Blade Runner after. They were made in the same year, and it's night and day between the two visuals, where one is like, oh, that is very dated, and the other one is like, that looks real, like, to me, like, insane.
They needed Deakins to try to emulate the style of the original, and it came close, but for some reason, no matter how hard we try, we try to emulate it, or we try to copy it, but there's something there that we just always miss.
It's its own.
It is its own, and that, I don't know, like, that's what really made me want to do it and fail at it, but hopefully make a good mark. Empire of the Sun, Lawrence of Arabia, stuff like that. Like, if I had access to dreamlike things, or settings and costuming, props, and just bring them together, that's huge for me. And the primary one, though, if I'm really trying to hone down and not ramble, is honestly, like, it's the reason it's my favorite film. Trip to the Moon is really the thing. I saw that and I dropped everything. Like, it was like, I wanted to write, like, I wanted to be an author. And I had my mindset on being an author until, like, I really needed to make money and become an English teacher. And that's still on the back burner of my mind, but that's like almost like an antithetical part of my mind, where it's like, okay, like, but what if this doesn't work? What if you can't make it into, just be an English teacher, buddy. Just bring it in. Just really, that's, but there's just this prevailing thing in the forefront of my mind that really stems from seeing that movie, and it was like, I'm going to do this. This is capturing dreams, and I want to do it. There's something in it that just I've as much exorcism as it's taken to get it out of my head. It's what I want to do for the rest of my life.
I think I understand what you're saying about A Trip to the Moon. It's revolutionary. This was a new thing that people didn't really know of, in 1905, 1902, whatever year that film came out.
What, Exorcist?
No, Trip to the Moon.
Oh, Trip to the Moon. I'm sorry, I misheard. I was like, 1905.
Trip to the Moon, my bad. But yeah, I think there's something like emotional about that, because it's a new revolution. It's a new, what do I say? It's a new, just like industrial, like it's just new. And you become inspired, and I think there's something beautiful about that, wanting to make something your own. Leaving
a permanent mark on it.
Leaving a mark, yeah.
I've always wanted to reach the point to where I get copycats. I think that's when you're onto something.
Yeah.
Like, just the idea that like you said, like, Roger Deakins has to try and emulate this person's style. Imagine that guy just sitting on his couch, like, yeah, that's right. This guy who's been nominated for Oscars like 12 times, and
20.
winning. Yeah, something crazy.
Yeah.
Just always like getting these Oscar nods, and he has to try and emulate me. Wash my hands real quick. I'm done. Like, I got where I need to be. So
that's a good way of putting things.
if you're wrapped up, then
No, go for
moving
it.
on. I was gonna say moving on. For me, can you guys guess my answer? It's Star Wars.
Yeah.
I
was like,
no,
we
it's
gotta,
always back to
we gotta let
OG.
it sit. Yeah, give it that energy.
Like, I remember I was sick, I believe in the 2nd or 3rd grade, and I was just laying on my couch and I was dead, and I was watching Revenge of the Sith for about the 12th time that day, and I was like, oh man, like I've watched this lightsaber fight like 20 times now, I'm not tired of it, but what else is there? And then I got to the bonus features, and I saw like some stuff in because I was looking for a game is what I was looking for, because in the Madagascar special features, there's like little mini games you can play. So I was like, I wonder if Star Wars
I
has,
remember
like,
that.
Yeah?
Hey.
Dude, it was the best. And I was like, I wonder if the Star Wars thing has some, because we had like the like special collection one where it was this thick thing with like all the bonus features and stuff. And I click on it and I managed to like get my way to the behind the scenes. And I remember watching like the before and the after with the VFX. And I was like, what? Like they're just on green stuff? Like that makes no sense. And the one that really sticks out in my mind was there's a scene in Revenge of the Sith where like this army of like Wookiees gets up and like start yelling like, ah, and then they like charge down the beach. And that whole army, it takes up like the whole frame, was 4 dudes that they just kept compositing in like different ways. And I was like, you can make an army with like 4 guys? I was like, that's insane. So it really made me want to learn more. And then to get corny, I guess my older brother's videos made me want to be a filmmaker. They weren't good on a technical aspect, but they were extremely entertaining. And I could tell my older brother and his friends were having a ton of fun while making them. And I was like, I need to get in on this. Like, this is so fun. I want to get cool like my older brother. When I make really cool videos, I know I'm going to be the cool guy. So that made me really hop in. And then there's a particular moment that stands out to me. It was my first year, or it may have been my second year. It was my second year of video arts in high school. So my senior year, second year of video arts. I threw together this project in 2 days called Anything for You. And the only reason it took 2 days, we had a 2-week assignment. I had spent all my time making a different film, but it was absolute garbage, and I refused to turn it in. So I told my crew, we're going to delete everything. We're starting from scratch, and we're going to turn it in 2 days. And they were very stressed. I was stressed, but it was definitely the move. It came out pretty good. You can find Anything for You. Just type that in onto YouTube with True Views if you want to watch it. It's not that great. I don't want to hype it up too much, but like it's solid. But at the time, I finally had my render together and I showed my crew and they're like, wow, that's really good or whatever. But someone else from a different crew, like another group, came in. They're like, oh, can I watch it? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then I put on the headphones for them and I was just talking to someone else. And then just in the middle of it, he takes off his headphones and goes, no. And I'm like, what? What is it? And he was like, I can't. Like, and then like he had teary eyes or whatever. And I was like, what? Like, I was so confused and like thrown off because it's not that good of a film, like honestly, but like it really connected with him. And just at that moment, it was like, I know I can do this,
That's
because
awesome.
it was very early and, and I know I can do better. And it managed to move someone to that point because I had talked to him about it. He had recently gone through a breakup or whatever, and the film kind of goes over that. That's kind of the circumstance. And I guess it really spoke to him at that point in his life. And it was just crazy to see something that I made, almost haphazardly connect with someone on that deep of a level, So that was definitely an experience that made me want to pursue this as a career.
If I'm being corny, it's seen you guys make films. It's seen my friends make films. Because you see the community we have here. You see local filmmakers, they go out and do their own thing, and you kind of sit back and think after you're done viewing it, like, what can I do? I know, True, you've had that impact on me. Like when I saw your early films, I was like, why can't I do what he's doing? And I ask myself that all the time, like, why can't I do that? Mm-hmm. And I've learned it takes a lot more than just yourself, and that's how I used to do it. I used to do it all by myself, but that's not the way to go in this industry, in this business, in this career. Even today, like, shout out to my man, like Blaze, like for his vlogs,
shout out Blaze.
His like
Hey, what's up, Blaze?
weekly blogs, that he puts out. And
they're good blogs. Here's the thing. Anyone can put out. I could put out a weekly vlog. It'd be terrible. I'll put it out. He puts out quality.
I hit him up like almost every time. Like, dude, you are so awesome, man. Like, thank you. Even like when I met Frankie, he put out a few short films, and even the recent one he did before the 48. I messaged him and I said, dude, thank you for making this, because it was before I made my 48, which was really good to my standard. And I sort of just messaged him and I said, thank you, because this is so simple and you made it look so easy to tell. So that kind of gives me optimism that I can do it if I really wanted to. And it's just seeing you guys that make me want to do it.
Yeah, and almost building off of Frankie, if you guys are wondering who that guy is, he's a high school student currently, senior. He's getting ready to graduate. He's only done video arts for like 2 years, and you can just see the progression. There's a community. There's a lot of people here who are very talented, very good. He's one of those people. So shout out Blaze, shout out Frankie.
Are you serious? He's only been doing it for 2 years?
Like max. Like, yeah, honestly, maybe like a year and a half.
Yo, I need work. I really need work. That guy is cranking it out.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Honestly, man.
Good job. Good on you.
And kind of going off of what you said, Roman, filmmakers that make you go like, why can't I do that? Like, there's a skill threshold there. Is Dan Zampa. Dan Zampa is a 2-time award winner at the 48-hour film contest. Only person to do so as of right now, back to back. First year he got best film, and then second year he got audience choice. He made a wonderful film called, the first one is The Hunt, second one is Chump. Both are very good, but the second one in particular I really, really enjoy, and especially visually. He makes it look like it's filmed on like a cinema camera, like really good with like the highlight roll-offs and just the blocking and the angles. He knows what he's doing, but he filmed that on a GH5, which for the layman is like a prosumer camera. But not only that, he filmed it in HD, not even 4K. It has a 4K option, but he chooses to film in HD for storage reasons so he could keep it a little longer. And I felt like ashamed of myself as a filmmaker, to where I was like, oh man, like he made it really, really good, but just like that. But at the same time, it's like, it's inspiring, to see someone move in like such a way.
I think there's steps, when you first start off, you see a person make a film and you ask yourself, okay, I want to make a film. Is it good? Not at all. No, you're learning, and then you get to the next step where you make a decent film, and then you see somebody else make a good film. Then you make a good film, and then let's say you win at a festival, okay, and then you see this other guy win more awards at this festival. Okay, how can I do that? It's all about steps. I think what we're at, it's like, how can we get to the next level? And I think that's what we're trying to do with the Central Valley Film Project, is that we're done being on this low level. Like, how do we get to that next level? And then how do we proceed after that?
Yeah, I definitely feel it. I definitely feel that. Like, one of the biggest mistakes I can see filmmakers making, especially amateur filmmakers, but it even happens in the highest levels, is being competitive versus being collaborative. You definitely always want to seek out the help, the extra talent, because it shouldn't be about how can I bring this person down? It's how can they elevate me? How can I raise myself up to that level? Because I mean, just because you tear someone down and make their film like seem like schlock or something, whether it's just on a critical level or whatever, that's not going to make your schlock any better. You know what I mean? Like, it's just about how to elevate your game. And that's why I always preach network, talk, connect, because that's how you're going to meet good filmmakers, better filmmakers. Because like how you met Blaze, to where like he's just a specialized editor, and like that must have been a blessing on set, to where for my film I was just the editor and the director and the writer and stuff, to where I didn't share those enough, and it was very taxing on myself. Whereas when I talked to Roman during those sharp time crunches, he was always like, yeah, I got some like decent sleep here and there and stuff, whatever, and like Ashley's helping me with this, who's his like a production manager,
yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah, wonderful, like just great team Roman surrounded himself with. I was blessed to have Marciano on my team and help kind of fully flesh out these characters, and it's just surrounding yourself with good people. My director of photography, Isaiah Puga, who will also be assisting us with the Central Valley Film Project, another great guy to have. It's just always good. The more talented people you have around you, the more fun and the more like elevated your art becomes. Like it's just really more of a stress relief. It elevates a game. It's just all around better.
Sorry, one quick thing. I've learned to assign people at their strengths. You know, if you're a specialized editor, do that. If you're a specialized writer, please do that, you know. And because they're going to help you with your vision. They will. And if you have somebody who's good with time crunching and time management and production management, you know, get them to help you. If you know somebody who's an expert on camera, cinematography, you know, like, you know, Isaiah, you know, then get people like him to help you, because they're gonna lift you. They will.
Definitely.
All comes with trust. All comes with and it all comes with time and experience. Just learning and constantly. And the big thing, like with networking and everything, is also just praise. Like recognize the good, like more than anything. Like before you dog on anybody's like shortcomings, like the big thing is praise, like all the good that came from it. Because in order for you to make note of all that was bad, there needs to be some gradient of good amongst it, so you can be like, the sound quality sucked, but the film was great. Or,
honestly, you gotta find the diamond in the rough. You know, like you know, not to point fingers, but when I saw Roman's first 48-hour film.
Terrible sound.
On a technical level, like I said, it was a little rough. It was rough around the edges. But I could tell just by watching it that he really cared. I could tell he really cared about what he was making. I could tell that he had a vision. Like he wanted to do something. And that's really all you need. And that enthusiasm is what's brought us this far, you know, today. And as you guys can see by watching his most recent short film from the 48-hour, like he's really elevated his game. He knows how to improve himself, you know. So I would like to say I've made the right investment, and I can't wait to be bringing Marciano's vision to life as well. We have really exciting things waiting for you guys in the future coming through. So for closing thoughts, what do you guys have to say? Anything on this closing segment?
Go watch The Room.
Oh, definitely.
Go watch The Room.
If you guys are, you know,
Wiseau?
bunkered down.
Wiseau.
Oh, hi,
Tommy
doggy.
Wiseau. It's quarantine. There's no reason you should not watch The Room.
I think it's even available on YouTube for free. So that could be a place to check it out.
That's my closing thought. I
don't think any of us could top that.
Maybe I can. No, I'm just kidding.
Let's hear.
I don't know. I mean, we are in rough times right now, you know. I say, you know, keep a positive mindset. Let's keep everything good right now. You know, let's learn something new. Let's better ourselves. This is an opportunity to better ourselves, to learn something we haven't, or to take time and reflect on, you know, the good we have here. And so, you know, to that I say, all right.
Okay.
And all the bad stuff that's happening right now, like really, like if anything, like formal closing thought is just be good to one another. Because like despite all the bad that's going around and all the negative with people, like I'm seeing a lot of like moments of shimmer amongst it all, and they've really stuck with me. Like, and I hope I can bring some of those like lasting images of people being really good to one another into films, like, or just into anything, highlighting people for that. Just lend a hand, be good to one another.
And I can only fully support those statements. You know, like I cannot emphasize enough. Just be good to each other, be safe, and just find ways to keep yourself busy. You know, I highly recommend just looking at, you know, instructional videos on YouTube, reading instructional texts, or just picking up a new skill. Just try and be productive with your time, because a lot of us are either out of work, out of school right now. And with whatever extra time you may have built up from those circumstances, just be, you know, working on what you're doing. That's really the key to all this. You know, we've just thrown together a podcast for the time being, just because that's something we can, you know, work on and keep ourselves busy with. Hopefully, you guys have enjoyed this thus far. And next week we will be posting another podcast. Topic somewhat undecided, but it will definitely be revolving around the arts as of right now within the Central Valley. You know, what we really enjoyed seeing, what we want to see some improvements on in the community and stuff. So if you guys want to check that out, that will be posted next week. Thank you guys for listening all the way through. If you have, thank you to the live audience. If you guys are there, we really appreciate you guys, and we'll see you guys soon. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, guys.